Welcome to this very special edition of the Current Review, brought to you by Central News. My name is Thamsanga Tu, sometimes known as TT. And today, this is special because we are doing for the first time a sit-in interview, a live sit-in interview. We normally do these things over Zoom, but we thought let's meet our guest today in person so that we can be able to even touch hands if we disagree, because that's the nature of our politics this day. But interestingly, today we don't do the normal politics that we normally do. We're going to be talking about the administrative side of politics. And we are being joined by Mr. John Fusi, sometimes known as Basi Motloung, from the Metsimaholo Local Municipality, the brand new Municipal Manager. Good morning, sir, and how are you?
I'm going to say TT, yes.
Or Mr. Tu.
Mr. Tu, yes.
Are you well?
No, I'm well, very well.
I've been thinking about this question, to ask you this question for a long time. In fact, every time that somebody is appointed in a government position, I want to ask this question. Is it okay to say congratulations? Do you feel okay if you say congratulations on your appointment? Because I'm asking this question because, when you congratulate somebody, it's because they've achieved something of a personal milestone.
Yes.
Do you feel that's what it is for you, this thing?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's, to me, I don't think it's appropriate for one to be congratulated or being appointed in a position, because that's when the real work starts.
Oh.
We will congratulate you as you go along and doing the right things in the position.
Oh.
I think it's rather premature to congratulate a position upon being appointed because that's actually a responsibility. And we've got to see in your execution of that responsibility whether you are doing the right things.
Well, that is a perfect response for me, because I've often wondered. There's some people that I've heard that have answered that question in a manner that is self-gratifying. Now, you are saying that we first have to achieve whatever tasks that have been set for you in that position.
Yeah.
And then once you've done that, we can say congratulations.
No, definitely.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
What is your vision for this municipality? Where do you want to see it in the next 5 years?
Well, the municipality currently has got its own vision. And I know that as a person, I would actually come with my own vision. But what is important is actually to align my vision, the personal vision, with the overarching vision of the municipality. Now, what I would do, because any organization has to actually operate as the well-oiled machine to be able to give expression to the vision, because the vision is actually what you aspire to achieve. So the organization will say, this is where we want to be. And as a person coming into the position, you'll also say, okay, this is where I want to take this organization to, in realizing its vision. Now, my vision is that we've got to look at the organization and strive for organizational excellence. And then you also have to ensure that you attract into the employment of the municipality people with requisite skill to be able to execute or in whatever that they do, must be able to help the organization achieve its vision as it would have been set out in the IDP.
Okay.
That's where I would start.
All right.
Yes.
And
get the organization.
And it's interesting to say that, because I think the visions of such organizations as municipalities or government institutions are quite dynamic, especially in this era of coalition governments in municipalities, where you would have in the instance where you have a majority political party governing municipality.
Yes.
Sometimes the vision would be sort of solid for a period of 5 years. But in a situation where you've got a municipality which is not, which is not governed through an outright majority political party, that vision would sort of change from time to time. Am I reading it right that way?
Yeah, well, you have an opportunity, in fact, annually to review the IDP.
Okay.
And in the process of doing that, you can actually relook at your vision and say whether this vision, does it actually serve the purpose, given the change in demographics and so on. And then you would say, okay, fine, it is still relevant and you can keep it for 5 years. But where you think that it is necessary to actually effect some changes, then you would be able to do that. But in a coalition environment, obviously, it would change from time to time because the new entrants into a political space, from time to time, forges new relations, and those relations can actually, can necessitate changes in the direction that the municipality is taking. So that's quite possible.
And in your case, you have been an acting municipal manager for some time before being appointed as a permanent, if I may use that word, permanent municipal manager, or for a fixed term municipal manager. Now, do you, in your experience in the acting capacity, do you find that it's difficult to be an MM in these volatile conditions of coalitions?
No, not quite, Mr. Tu, because when you come into an environment, in fact, you've got to have made your own assessment and understand the environment for you to be able to operate optimally. Now, what I have done when I got appointed in a position of acting municipal manager, fortunately, I was from the position of the Director of Organizational Development. And I'm also a person who comes from this area, so obviously I know the dynamics, the political characters that are there as well. So it was easy for me to be able to, for the period that I've been acting, to forge relations with them and also show them that my aim is to ensure that the municipality complies with the legislation, the policies that council would adopt from time to time. So once you have actually defined yourself in that way, then whoever comes to you know exactly where you stand. Yes.
Moving now from these strategic questions around leadership, I want to bring it to the ordinary people on the street, the things that they see.
Yes.
We observe that, like your street lights in your main streets are not working as required. What are you doing about this? Because this has got an impact directly on the people. If the streets they walk on at night are not well lit and they are dark, they pose potential dangers of criminality and other accidents that may happen. What are you doing about these particular dangers that are there?
No, we are quite aware of the challenge, and I think you would also agree with me that our critical infrastructure has actually fallen victim to the criminals. Now, the lamp poles or the street lights that you are seeing that are unable to illuminate light is because the internal mechanism has been tampered with by criminals. So the plan is that we have actually come up with as a municipality is to install the overhead lines so that we are able to address the problem of those lamp poles not being able to illuminate light. As a pilot project, that's what we want to see to start with, to see if that cannot actually be out of the reach of criminals. Wow. And then once that is working, most of them would actually be will have overlines, headline installed, and then others would actually repair, put in the right wiring and so on, and perhaps try and secure them in some ways, so that they are able to serve the purpose for which they would have been installed. But we also want to maximize on them, perhaps fit in cameras and other, the Wi-Fi to assist so that, the community to access the Wi-Fi and so on. That is maximizing them, not repurposing them. So obviously they would still do their role of illuminating lights, and over and above that, we can see what other things.
Do you have any timelines around achieving those objectives?
Yeah, I think that process, we should be able to complete that in the next 2 weeks.
Because it's already in process?
Yes, it is.
Even including the Wi-Fi installation in this things?
No, that one we're still in the process of actually, because we have had people coming and then making inquiries. So now we have to decide on the sourcing method because obviously we've got to be transparent in this government. People can submit proposals, and even if we get, hooked or interested in those proposals, we've got to see how we enlist their services.
Okay.
Then we've got to follow the due process, yeah.
And I want to hammer on this because it's a lot of young people would be interested in the accessibility of network connectivity around the area.
Yeah.
Do you, in your mind, have a timeline as to when you'll achieve that?
That one, I think it would be, 3 months from now, I think within 3 months we'd have actually completed.
And this would include even the township areas?
Yes, that's where we also, the areas that we are targeting.
Another continuous deliverable that we must talk to, because it affects, directly the environment that you're talking about of criminality and so on, and the cleanliness in the town, the green belts, the islands that we pass through as we walk and drive through the streets of your CBD.
Yes.
Some of them have overgrown trees and they are dirty, and they pose as dangers both for the environment as well as the people. What are you doing about it? I've often had older people in the townships here saying, our areas were clean.
Yes.
Bona difate di overgrown and all of that. What are you doing about it?
No, you're quite correct, and such a concern, obviously, I think people are justified to actually feel that way because they know this town historically where it comes from to where it is now. But I think there are things that we have actually started to do right. There are green belts which we have attended to. In fact, just now I got pictures of the green belts which the grass has been neatly cut, and then the trees have been properly pruned and so on. Now, we have actually appointed the service providers to help us with the capacity constraint that we have. And I think we are in the process of attending all our green belts. I'm not sure which ones have you gone to, because I'm sure those which remain are actually quite few. We should be able to attend to all of them by no later than the end of this week, if not next week.
And this will be a continuous program.
It will definitely be.
It won't wait for them to be overgrown again.
No.
And therefore, only attend them as well. That way, okay.
Yeah.
And the municipality, for some years, has been receiving unfavorable audit opinions from the Auditor General.
Yes.
What is your plan to improve these audit outcomes?
Well, I think you would be aware that we have just appointed the CFO from the 1st of April, along with me, obviously, as the substantive Municipal Manager. And then we have also, developed an action audit, an audit action plan. And there's also a web-enabled audit action plan, which we actually populate by using the management report and the Auditor General's report. And that is actually intended to address all issues that AG would have actually raised in the audit report, as well as the management report, which is actually more detailed than your audit opinion that you would normally see on the website and so on.
Oh.
So there's a plan in place in terms of strengthening our internal controls as well, and then appointing skilled people, and also centralizing supply chain, because most of the compliance issues that the AG raises have to do with non-compliance with the legislation, especially in relation to how we procure services or goods. Now we have actually, what we have done is that we have, with the new CFO, obviously, there are critical positions that we are going to fill in supply chain. There's also going to be a communication in weeks to come, directing that all procurement must actually be done from the supply chain. So what I found here is that most of the procurement was actually happening at different departments, end user departments, would then source quotations and things like that. So in that way, you would not be compliant with the regulations or pieces of legislation which are applicable to procurement, because then it means people who are not trained in supply chain issues, then they are the ones who are actually taking a lead, and that contributed to non-compliance, as it were.
Do you find that these people would now be amenable to, the new ways of working that you'll be introducing, as management holistically? Because somebody who has done that, an end user department that does their own procurement, you would suspect that there is something, untoward that's been done there. Are they going to accept these new ways of doing things that you'll be introducing?
Well, we'll take them along. Obviously, we would actually discuss the audit opinion with them to show that some of the changes are actually, we need to change as the municipality. We can't continue to do things in the same way and expect different results. The audit opinion that we have now, for the first 5 years, we have been getting a qualified audit opinion. So we need to move from that base and enter into a new environment of producing the clean audits, complying with legislation and so on. And if we really are actually people who love this municipality, we've got the interests of the people around here at heart, we should be amenable to such a change, especially if it is a change that actually takes the municipality forward.
Often, employees find it difficult to deal with situations of change of management.
Yes.
Have you not experienced resistance in your new role as a municipal manager?
Not quite. Obviously, you would have few cases where people are not sure whether, because when I was acting, people were not sure if I would be appointed as substantive MM. And once the appointment was done on the 27th of March by council, then I'm sure other people started to actually embracing the reality that there's a new person in, and they know that I actually spend most of my working life in this municipality. I was head of SCM at some point, and most of the employees who are still here, they know how I would actually like things to be done. Now, as an accounting officer, obviously, my authority is actually much bigger than it were when I was head of SCM. So I think, we should be able to walk this journey together. And at the moment, there's nothing that makes me doubt the commitment of my employees, and my colleagues in general.
And what is the municipality's role in the pollution that we see in the Vaal Dam as well as the Vaal River? What is your role there, and what are you doing to improve the situation in those situations?
Yeah, well, that is quite concerning, but quite a number of things that we have done already. We have attended to our wastewater treatment plants. There are those new ones which there's a new one that we have constructed in the Naysville, in the and there are also the pump stations that we have also attended to. Orangeville, Dennisville, in fact, we have had 2 which were actually contaminating our sources of water. And then we also have, I think in Sasol here, we also have those which, through lack of maintenance, they've been contributing to this, to the pollution, or the depositing, the sewer effluent into the Vaal River. We had a meeting with not the meeting, but a workshop with the Minister of Water and Sanitation that is on Friday, last week on Friday, where they also raised concerns. But you would also realize that this is not just a problem that is unique to municipality Metsimaholo. Many municipalities are actually depositing into the river, and that is quite unacceptable. And I actually looked at the extent to which we are polluting. Well, I would say it's concerning, of course, but compared to other municipalities, I think they are actually, depositing more than we do. But from our side, we are concerned, and there are efforts, obviously, that we have actually put in place to ensure that we eradicate depositing into the Vaal River. In fact, I think what was on the 29th of last month, I even had to appear before the Human Rights Commission, especially in relation to polluting the river. And then we went to Regiville to ensure that our main holes were actually cleaned, because some of them, they are actually worn out. So when there's no smooth running of sewer effluent there, and then in some cases when these your main holes, when they overflow, obviously they actually cause the spillage into the valley and so on. But we jet blasted them, we cleaned them so that at least we try, and those that we can do as the municipality, we should attend to them. But those which would actually require more money, obviously we have in the budget, the coming financial year, would then be working towards ensuring that we minimize that or eradicate that completely.
Yeah. And it looks like you have also been proficient in terms of tackling some elements of criminality, because it would seem that since you have been acting as the municipal manager up to now, there's an increase in the number of traffic law enforcement officers. Is that a move that is deliberate, and is it for a specific purpose, or is it going to be throughout the your term as the municipal manager?
No, that's going to be a defining feature of of my term as the municipal manager, because I believe that we are government and we are no less important than your national government and provincial government. Now, when it comes to law enforcement, we have to make sure that we apply the law and we ensure that people comply with the law. And then, when you have improved visibility or have your traffic officers, visible, then you are able to discourage people from using cars which are not roadworthy. And then you also ensure that, because we losing revenue, because if you check most of the municipalities which are financially in fact they are financially sustainable, is because they have taken this issue of revenue collection, especially when it comes to traffic fines and so on. They've actually taken that seriously. So we know that it's compliance with the law, so that also we protect our road infrastructure, because we have vehicles that are not roadworthy, roaming your streets. Obviously, that impacts on your infrastructure as well. So we want to make sure that the vehicles that go out using our roads should be vehicles which are actually roadworthy. And then we couple that with also making sure that we actually issue traffic fines and also try to collect, so that money is put back to improving the material conditions of our people.
And lastly, I also note that you had a planned investment summit for Metsimaholo,
yes,
which seems to have been cancelled. What were the objectives of the summit, and what are the reasons for the cancellation?
Well, the summit, we had interactions with our local businesses. They were quite concerned to say they are not getting business from the municipality and so on. So we thought, look, let's create a platform for them to also say to what extent do they think that the municipality is not giving them business, and whether they can influence the policy, because that supply chain policy is a policy that gets approved by council. Obviously, we were intending to take those inputs, incorporate them into the policy, and have council approving that policy so that we implement it as administration, to ensure that we allow them to take part, or we actually give business to them so that they can grow their businesses as well. And then, in fact, that's what
it would be exclusively in the reserve of the economic fiscus of the municipality, and not necessarily, relating to the private sector, which is also big in Metsimaholo.
No, the invites that we had sent were also, to get the private sector to come and participate. Because some of them would say, some of the companies around here would bring people from KZN and other provinces, and yet they have that skill here. So we wanted the private people to hear the amount of skill that we have here, so that they should also avoid going elsewhere to get the skill. when we have skill around here. So there was going to be a number of sectors, including the labor sector as well. Yeah. But then we had to cancel it because after doing the assessment to actually to get our readiness to deliver a successful summit, when I ticked the boxes, then I realized that there were some of the things that we needed to do, which we had not done, and that would actually impact negatively on the summit itself. So I thought that it would be better to cancel the summit, plan it better so that we deliver a successful summit to the people.
So it is basically postponed for better planning.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, TT Basi Motloung. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and we wish you all the best, in your endeavor as the municipal manager. And on your last day as municipal manager, maybe I'll come back and say congratulations for the work well done.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Much appreciated.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. Bye.